breaking point came when the distress signal from Horizon Prime reached Earth. Exactly 36 hours too late. Commander Elena Vasquez stood frozen in the command center of Terra Station 1, her knuckles white as she gripped the console. The footage playing on the main display would forever sever humanity's chosen path in the galaxy. The images were chillingly clear, transmitted by hidden surveillance drones that had witnessed the entire event. 23,000 human colonists, including 8,000 children, had been systematically, methodically exterminated by the shock troops of the Voran Empire. The official Vorthan communique called it a territorial dispute resolution, but for anyone who watched the footage, the truth was undeniable. This was a calculated message, a brutal reminder to humanity of its perceived place in the galactic hierarchy. For 2 centuries, Earth had walked the razor's edge of diplomacy. When humanity first cracked faster-than-light travel and stumbled into the vast, political theater of the galaxy, they were met not with welcome, but with cold, institutionalized brutality. Ancient empires carved up space like feudal lords, their logic simple: the strong dominate the weak. Yet, Earth had chosen a different way. They joined the Galactic Assembly as peaceful members, accepting restrictive treaties, tolerating predatory trade deals, and answering every provocation with measured, diplomatic protests. When the Vorthans seized 3 human cargo vessels the previous year, Earth filed formal complaints. When they imprisoned human merchants on fabricated charges, Earth negotiated patiently for their release. Always calm, always peaceful, always trying to prove there was a better way. The massacre at Horizon Prime shattered that illusion into a billion irreparable pieces. Elena turned slowly to face the assembled members of Earth's United Defense Council. The room was a tomb, silent but for the hum of electronics and the choked sob of an aide who had just recognized a friend in the footage. These weren't distant statistics. Every person in the room knew someone on Horizon Prime. Friends, family, colleagues who had journeyed to the stars to build something new. They were all gone, murdered to make a point about power. Defense Secretary Marcus Chun was the first to break the silence. His voice a low, controlled tremor of decades of suppressed rage. "They targeted the schools first," he stated, the words cutting through the air. "The footage is unambiguous. They went for the children to systematically break the adults' will to resist. This wasn't a military action. This was terrorism on a planetary scale." Grim nods answered him. For too long, the galaxy's powers had mistaken human restraint for weakness. They had grown bold, pushing boundaries, testing limits with increasing audacity. The Voran Empire, in particular, had been probing, likely encouraged by the lack of a visible, militarized response. President Diana Morgan rose, her decision already etched into the grim lines of her face before she had even entered the room. "For 2 centuries," she began, her voice resonating with a newfound, steely resolve, "we have pursued peace above all else. We have shown mercy where others showed brutality. We offered friendship where others offered only domination. The massacre at Horizon Prime has proven that our mercy is seen as weakness, our friendship as submission." She paused, her gaze sweeping across each council member. "Today that ends. I call for the activation of Protocol 7. A wave of hushed whispers filled the chamber. Protocol 7 was a ghost from the dawn of human expansion, a contingency plan most had prayed would remain forever dormant. It was humanity's final answer to the question, what if coexistence proves impossible? The vote was unanimous. Every hand was raised without a moment's hesitation. Within minutes, a transmission pulsed across the galaxy to every human colony, research station, and trading post. The message was simple, yet carried the weight of a species' collective turning point. To all citizens of Earth and her colonies, you are ordered to return to core systems immediately. In 72 hours, the Sol system will implement Defense Protocol 7. Any non-human vessel approaching within 100 light-years of Earth space will be destroyed without warning. This is not a negotiation. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The galactic community's reaction was as swift as it was predictable. The Voran Empire issued statements dismissing the human decree as an amusing tantrum from an inferior species. Emperor Thaxter the Merciless appeared on galactic broadcasts, his chitinous forearms gesturing with dismissive scorn. The humans think they can threaten the Voran Empire? We, who have conquered 1,000 worlds. We, who have stood unconquered for 3 millennia. Let them hide in their single system. When they grow hungry, they will crawl back, begging for our trade. Other species reacted with a spectrum of concern and mockery. Warrior races found the ultimatum hilarious, pointing to humanity's complete lack of demonstrated military prowess. Merchant guilds fretted over trade disruptions but assumed economic pressure would soon force Earth to capitulate. The older, more established empires simply ignored the announcement, considering it beneath their notice. None of them understood what they had just awakened. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, in bunkers constructed over 2 centuries in absolute secrecy, lights began to flicker on. Massive subterranean facilities, spanning hundreds of miles, hummed to life. These were not mere military bases. They were something far more ambitious. For 200 years, while presenting a face of pacifism to the galaxy, humanity had been preparing for the possibility that peace might fail. Every scientific leap had a dual purpose. Every research grant hid a military application. Every piece of alien technology, traded for or covertly acquired, had been reverse-engineered, refined, and perfected. The truth was, humanity had never been weak. They had been patient. They had never lacked military might. They had chosen restraint. The merchant vessels and lightly armed patrol boats the galaxy mocked were merely the facade. Like an iceberg, the visible fraction was insignificant compared to the colossal structure hidden beneath. In concealed shipyards scattered throughout the solar system, vessels maintained in perfect readiness for decades initiated their power-up sequences. These were not ships built for war as the galaxy understood it. These were ships built to end wars permanently. Admiral Sarah Kim stood on the bridge of the TDS Retribution, humanity's true flagship, as it rose from its concealed dock deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean. The vessel was a 3-kilometer-long Leviathan, powered by zero-point energy reactors, technology humanity had developed in secret, improving upon captured alien designs in ways their original creators could never have conceived. Around her, a similar awakening was occurring. From hidden caches on Luna, Mars, and within the asteroid belt, more ships emerged. The fleet that assembled in Earth's orbit over the next 48 hours defied every galactic assessment of human capability. As news of this mobilization reached the Voran Empire, Emperor Thaxter made the decision that would seal his empire's fate. He ordered his Grand Armada, 500 of the most powerful warships in known space, to travel to Earth and crush this human insurrection. He intended to create an example that would echo through history. No species could threaten the Voran Empire and survive. His advisors counseled caution. The humans had given a specific warning. Perhaps negotiation was wiser. But Thaxter, who had ruled through fear for centuries, could not recognize the danger of cornering a species with nothing left to lose. He had mistaken mercy for frailty, diplomacy for cowardice. He was about to learn that Earth had chosen peace not from an inability to wage war, but from a profound understanding of what would happen if they were ever pushed too far. The massacre at Horizon Prime had not broken humanity's spirit. It had shattered the chains they had placed upon themselves. The galaxy wanted to see humanity without mercy. They were about to get their wish, the reckoning. The Voran Grand Armada dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system with the arrogant confidence of conquerors who had never known defeat. 500 warships, each a masterpiece of galactic destruction, arranged themselves in the traditional Vorthan battle formation known as the Crown of Thorns. Admiral Crix, the Emperor's most decorated commander, stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominator, his insectoid exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh combat lighting. He had personally overseen the subjugation of 43 species. Humanity would be his 44th. His tactical display showed Earth's defensive fleet arranged in concentric spheres around their homeworld. The numbers were surprising, nearly 2,000 vessels, but Crix was unconcerned. Quantity was meaningless against Vorthan firepower and millennia of combat experience. He opened a channel, his clicking speech rendered into human language by a translator. Forces of Earth, I am Admiral Crix of the Voran Empire. Your deadline has expired. Surrender now, and your species will be permitted to survive as servants. Resist, and you will share the fate of your colony on Horizon Prime. The response came from Admiral Sarah Kim aboard the Retribution. Her voice was calm, almost conversational, a tone that unsettled the younger Vorthan officers. Admiral Crix, you were warned not to approach our space. That warning was not given lightly. You have 60 seconds to reverse course and depart. This is the only mercy humanity will offer. After that, what happens is on your head. Crix's mandibles clicked in amusement. The human truly believed her inferior fleet could stand against the might of the Voran Empire. He would enjoy disabusing her of that notion. The 60 seconds passed in silence. Then, space itself seemed to writhe and bend around the Vorthan fleet. What happened next would be studied by military theorists for millennia, assuming any survived to study it. The human ships did not fire missiles or energy beams. They did not engage in a battle as the galaxy understood it. Instead, they began to fundamentally alter the laws of physics in localized areas around the Vorthan vessels. Gravity intensified 10,000-fold in precise locations, crushing dreadnoughts into ultra-dense points of matter. In other sectors, time dilated catastrophically, aging ships and their crews to dust in the blink of an eye. Quantum uncertainty was weaponized, causing Vorthan vessels to flicker between existence and non-existence before collapsing into nothingness. Admiral Crix watched in mounting horror as his invincible armada was not so much destroyed as it was unmade. The Vorthans had never even theorized such capabilities. The humans hadn't built better weapons. They had built reality manipulation devices. Every fundamental force, gravity, electromagnetism, the nuclear forces became a weapon in their hands. Atomic bonds failed. Matter dissolved into constituent quarks. Alloys underwent instant, forced radioactive decay. 15 minutes. That was all it took for the Voran Grand Armada to cease existing. Not defeated, but erased from the fabric of reality. Only the Dominator remained, held in place by forces Admiral Crix could not comprehend. Admiral Kim's face appeared on his comm screen. Her expression showed no triumph, no rage. Only a grim, absolute finality. You are alive because we choose to let you live, she stated. You will return to your Emperor and deliver this message. Humanity spent 2 centuries choosing peace. We developed technologies that could end civilizations, and we chose not to use them. We created weapons that could unmake stars, and we kept them hidden. We mastered forces that could rewrite reality, and we restrained ourselves. She leaned forward slightly, ensuring the weight of her next words was felt across the light years. The massacre at Horizon Prime has ended that restraint. From this moment forward, any species that kills a human citizen will face complete annihilation. Not defeat, not conquest, annihilation. We will remove you from existence so thoroughly that future archaeologists will question if you were ever more than a myth. There will be no negotiations, no terms, no mercy. You wanted to see humanity without its limits. Congratulations. You've succeeded. The transmission ended. The Dominator was suddenly free. As Crix limped his solitary ship back toward Vorthan space, his sensors detected a new horror. The human fleet was expanding, not just with warships, but with colossal construction vessels emerging from hidden shipyards, building new vessels at a rate that defied all known industrial logic. They had doubled their fleet in hours. In days, they would command a force of tens of thousands. The humans hadn't just been hiding their military. They had been hiding their true industrial and technological potential. News of the Grand Armada's erasure spread through the galaxy faster than light. Empires that had stood for millennia convened emergency councils. Species that had never known fear began frantic defensive preparations. The warrior races fell silent. A single terrifying question echoed across 1,000 worlds. If this was what humanity could do after 2 centuries of restraint, what else were they capable of? The answer came in a transmission from Earth that reached every civilized world simultaneously, a feat of communication technology that itself served as a demonstration of power. President Diana Morgan appeared on every screen in known space, her words translated into 10,000 languages. Citizens of the galaxy. For 200 years, Earth extended a hand of friendship. We sought trade, not conquest. We pursued knowledge, not domination. We offered mercy to those who showed us none. That era is over. The massacre at Horizon Prime has shown us that in this galaxy, mercy is interpreted as weakness. Therefore, humanity withdraws its mercy. She held up a data slate, reading with ceremonial gravity. Effective immediately, any attack on a human citizen will result in the complete and permanent dissolution of the attacking species' military capacity. Any seizure of human property will trigger the instantaneous economic collapse of the responsible government. Any threat to a human colony will result in the threatening species losing all spacefaring capability forever. The implications were staggering. Humanity was not declaring war. It was declaring itself the ultimate arbiter of galactic law, with the power to enforce its edicts absolutely. We do not seek to rule you, President Morgan continued. We do not desire your territories or your resources. We simply demand to exist without fear of massacre. Those who respect human life will find us the most valuable of allies. Those who threaten it will discover why we chose peace not from weakness, but from wisdom. Within days, the Voran Empire collapsed, not from external attack, but from internal implosion. Subject worlds revolted. Subjugated species rose up. Emperor Thaxter the Merciless was overthrown by his own guards, who desperately sought to appease humanity before a more final judgment arrived. The empire that had terrorized the galaxy for 3 millennia fell in less than a week, brought down by the simple removal of its power to project fear. Across the galaxy, other empires took frantic note. The Ketan hegemony, which had been planning its own incursion into human space, quietly abandoned its plans and sent envoys bearing abject apologies. The Dromoth Confederation returned human prisoners it had long denied holding. The enigmatic Void Hunters, who had never acknowledged any species as equals, sent an unprecedented message to Earth proposing a mutual non-aggression pact. The galaxy had discovered that humanity's greatest weapon had always been its conscious, deliberate choice not to use its weapons. A year after the massacre, the galaxy was transformed. Human ships now patrolled the major trade routes, not to claim them, but to ensure they remained safe for all peaceful species. Human colonies expanded without challenge, as no one dared protest. Carefully shared human technology began to uplift civilizations that had proven themselves worthy of trust. The memorial erected at Horizon Prime became a site of pilgrimage, not just for humans, but for all species who understood its significance. It marked the moment humanity ceased pretending to be harmless and revealed its true nature. A species capable of terrible, reality-altering destruction, which had chosen creation. Capable of merciless vengeance, which had chosen mercy, until that mercy was brutally exhausted. The inscription on the memorial, translated into every known language, served as both a eulogy and a permanent warning to the cosmos. Here lies the innocence of 23,000 humans, who died believing in peace. Here also lies humanity's mercy, killed by those who mistook kindness for weakness. We forgive nothing, we forget nothing, we have no more mercy to give. The galaxy had learned its lesson. For 2 centuries, humanity had offered grace. Now, the universe would live with humanity unrestrained, and they would learn, to their core, to prefer the mercy they had so carelessly squandered. The massacre at Horizon Prime had ended one chapter of human history. The age of human justice had begun.